Okay, so everybody, the recording has started. And again, welcome to the Day at the Capitol training webinar. We're really excited for your participation, and we're just going to go over kind of some basics of the day. How to prepare for the day, both tasks you can do and just kind of things that you can think about to talk about with your legislators, what to expect the day of, and any follow-up actions that we think would be useful for you to know about. Looks like we have kind of even with the few people on this call, we have a mix of a first time, a veteran, and then one who's been here a couple times as a commissioner. So I'm excited that we have that diversity of experience. Then please, if you have any questions, we'll have some time at the end to answer anything, but I'd love to hear your feedback as well. Quick overview of what this presentation is going to cover. I'm going to go over what to expect again before, during, and after the event. Adam is going to be reviewing some tips about how to engage your representatives, and then also he's going to go over our policy priorities and commission priorities in more detail. All of that information you will also receive after this webinar. I'll send a link to our toolkits and other templates and stuff that you can use to get ready for the day. So initially, what this is the Day at the Capitol Volunteer Iowa. We have a wide range of programming and funding throughout the state that supports volunteerism, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. And because of that, we're kind of a behind the scenes presence in the state and support for service. So we may not be immediately known to a lot of legislators and the connection to our work and to service in their communities. So like many other organizations, the Day at the Capitol really helps us make that connection, draw that impact to where legislators' constituents are and the impacts that service and volunteerism is making in their communities. So they can see where our work is showing up for them. Hosting this day really helps us provide that unified message that we don't have without events like this, to really show the impact of volunteerism, the impact of our programs, and how we are connected to the mission of Volunteer Iowa. So thank you for being here. Who should participate? So everybody on this call, we have an AmeriCorps member, we have an AmeriCorps program, a current commissioner. So we are any staff member, participant, or supporter of your program that can talk about the value of your work to Volunteer Iowa and to your district. We're going to be meeting on February 24th. It's a Tuesday, 11 to 1 at the state capitol. The registration link did say West Rotunda. I apologize. It's going to be the North Rotunda, but we should still be very easy to find. We're going to be in that space with the RSVP Directors Association. So it should be a lot of room, a lot of time to see the Capitol, pick up some resources, and be able to connect with your legislators during that time. A reminder, this is just one point of contact that we're happy to facilitate to build a relationship with your legislators, but it really is helpful to think of this as a relationship with your legislator, to be able to connect on the issues that matter to you as a constituent, also for your program, and then going through and understanding the impact that their vote and their support has on your program. If you don't share these priorities and these impacts with your legislators, there aren't other people that are going to do that. Only you can talk about the value of your program, the value of your work, and how that is making a difference in your community. And they need to understand and they need to hear these stories to be able to translate that into valuable support for your program. Sometimes there can be some common barriers to communicating with legislators, such as kind of confusion or around laws and lack of, a perceived lack of board and leadership support or lack of staff time and expertise. Those are commonly listed as barriers to people feeling like they can connect with their legislators. This is a way to break that barrier, start the first conversation, and then keep that conversation going. So your role as a participant, I'm going to go through kind of the before, during, and after of the day. Before, your homework is really to set up this day for success. first you need to research who your legislators are. That's the district that you live in or that your program is located in. There's a link on this, and it'll also be provided in the toolkit, but the state website, the Iowa legislator website has a place you can just type in your zip code and see who those representatives are. Those are both senators and representatives that are in your district. From there, you can use the email and their contact information, send them an email, ask for a meeting on February 24th. If you can't physically be there on February 24th, you can ask for a meeting at any time that you're available. This is not restricted, again, to this one day of engagement. After that meeting is set up, and we do have a letter that you can use as a template to kind of say who you are, why you're contacting them, what you want to discuss during that day, and why it's important to meet. That will be sent out with the toolkit. And so you're free to modify that for your program or write your own message. Your own message is often more impactful, but it is nice to see kind of what a template can look like. From there, take the time to just look them up, use publicly available information, scan their social media, scan their policy and candidate websites, see what issues that they care about. And this is all publicly available information, but the idea is just to understand, what committees they sit on, what can you find out about them that can connect them to service. Social media is a great way. A lot of service activities are showcased on social media. So if they've participated in a food drive or anything recently, you can kind of connect that, saying, this is where service shows up in your community. You've shown up for us. Let us communicate that impact to you. And then again, there's a toolkit to kind of walk you through what you can say and how to invite legislators to this meeting or to this meeting time this day. On the 24th, you'll arrive between 11 and 1 is when we're going to be there, but you are free to schedule a meeting at whatever time of the day works for you. We will be again in the Capitol from 11 to 1. We'll have some resources. We can talk you through your points or kind of help you workshop some points you'd like to go over with your legislators, take you up to the chambers, just be a general resource for you. But again, you can meet throughout the day at whatever time is best for you. We will have resources at the center or at our check-in table with our commission priorities handout, which we're going to be going over on this call, as well as this programs map, which is just a map of where which programs are active in which counties. We have active programs in all 99 counties. There's going to be something at Volunteer Iowa that is relevant to a legislator throughout the state, no matter their district. And then if you are a social media person, feel free to take a picture with them. If you're able to meet with them, share and tag them on social media and just talk about the connection that you made that day. What to expect outside the chambers. This is for if you are unable to connect with your legislator and have a meeting arranged by the time this event rolls around, you can still go up and try to contact them. The legislature is in session on Tuesdays. And
there's a good chance they might tell you to do this anyway, just to call them out at this time.
Staff will be here to help guide you through this process too. But if you've never done this, you basically go up to the second level of the Capitol, stand outside the rotunda, either of the legislature or the Senate, and there will be a piece of paper that you can fill out to request that representative come out and speak to you about this issue. And so if they're available, they will. If they're not, they'll send a note back saying, we can follow up at a different time. But so even if you don't have a meeting set up, you may still have to do this, or this is a way that you can connect if that meeting isn't ready yet. Finally, after the event, after you've kind of shared your experience with your legislator, come back to the table, tell us who you'd met with. We really want to see what the engagement is at the event so we can track it and understand what the impact can be. We have an after action report that tells us where you can say all that information and also give us feedback on how to make this event more relevant to you and your programs in the future. And then use all the tools available to you. Please send a thank you note to your legislators, reminding them that you connected and that you made this that you had this conversation. Any follow-up items, such as events that you're having that come up that you'd love to involve them in, maybe inviting them to your newsletter, or other events. And then any social media that you want to share if that is something that is exciting to you. No pressure if it's not, but it is a really good way to just, again, continue that connection in a positive way. Since we do have a wide variety of participants on this call, we just wanted to acknowledge that you do need to understand your capacity to participate. We have a lot of federal funding that funds our program. And so if you are 100% federally funded, meaning if you're an AmeriCorps member, primarily, you may not engage in lobbying. I'm going to go over in the next couple slides what that really means for you, but it's just important to talk to your program supervisor, talk to your organization, make sure that you understand your role and what you can really participate in terms of advocacy, whether that's lobbying or educating your legislator. Everyone can, no matter your status, can educate your representatives on your work and the impact that it's having in your district. And so that is just communicating the issues, talking about the impacts, talking about how it connects to their work and their priorities. Lobbying is a direct ask for funding, for a vote on a bill, for other support. That is something that you cannot do if you are receiving federal funding. So I can go through some examples of what that looks like in the next slide. If you're in the educating column here on the left, we're here to share how this information affects your program, affects your district. We want to educate you about the impact of volunteering and what we've been able to do in the last year in the state. I want to talk about the importance of service for everybody in Iowa and what the impacts are, both for volunteers and for organizations. We want to tell stories about our program. We want to be a resource for you. Can we stay in touch? Versus, please vote on this bill. Please oppose this bill. Please help us pass this legislation. Please fund our organization through this legislation. Can we count on your support for this legislation? Those are really direct asks that are reserved for those that can directly engage in lobbying. And none of what we're going to cover on this call in terms of our commission priorities really gets too deep into this.
Yeah, and just to clarify, everybody can educate and everybody can lobby. The difference is when you're on federal time. So if you're working on an AmeriCorps grant, or working on, or if you are an AmeriCorps member and wearing an AmeriCorps logo, you're representing AmeriCorps, you can't lobby. So that's the distinction. As a private citizen, you want to talk to a legislator or write a letter to a congressperson or any of those things. Everybody's free to share their opinions and share their to do that as on their own. So I just wanted to just make that distinction that just because you're an AmeriCorps member, just because you're a program director, doesn't mean you can't lobby. It just means you can't lobby while
on company time, basically.
On company time, or when you're representing yourself as an AmeriCorps member, which we want you to do with this because we want them to hear about the good work you're doing. So in this case, in this event, education is the most important.
Great. Adam, I'm going to actually let you keep talking. So this is your section to talk about engaging with your representatives.
Okay. Well, again, Adam Lunsberg, thank you. Spot. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So first off, I think this is the part that makes people are nervous about and having to talk to a legislator and feel like they need to know about laws or need to know about these things. You don't. You just need to know about what you do and what your role is and what your program does and educate them. And our goal here is really to make them aware of the good work that's being done out there. So first off, it just like any relationship, introduce yourself, who you're from, where you're from. If you're not, even if you're serving the community and you're from somewhere else, let them know where you're from. recognize you guys are busy, so try to keep it very simple. Be very specific and practical. And uh, we generally some cautions. Don't overwhelm them with too much information or jargon. Don't uh, if they ask questions you don't know the answer to, it's okay to say you don't, and you can find one of us or find and get back to them and follow up. It's actually a great way to keep that conversation going. Also, don't expect them to be specialists. They might not know, so you might have to tell them a little bit more about what being an AmeriCorps member or a mentoring program or whatever uh, is and what you do in your role. So use it as an opportunity to educate them about the work you're doing in your community. Um, Again, and don't go in there, don't be confrontational, don't pressure, don't beg and say, any of those things. I don't think we would be doing that, but in general, those things aren't usually that effective. Um, you know, it is a good idea to know, especially if your programs serves multiple districts and you're meeting with multiple legislators, you know if what committees they're on, and subcommittees. And you can find that out when you click on their page in their bio. Um, if they're on the Health and Human Services subcommittee or appropriations subcommittee, those guys are people that have to know more about some of these issues. If they're in the environmental agency and you're in an environmental program, that's another one that might tune up. And these guys are looking for ways to solve problems in their communities, and if they know about you and your program, it might be opening a door. And also, they like to know and work with their constituents. So it's just a great way for them to connect and to we've had countless stories where AmeriCorps members and folks come back and have a bunch of business cards and get invited back, and or uh, where they have made positive impacts on uh, just impressed by a lot of times they'll bring you back and get your picture taken in the chambers, all of those things. So no need to be nervous about it. These guys are just people. They're there for 3 months and then they're back home. And always, it's always a positive experience. These guys are, have overwhelmingly we have strong bipartisan support in both chambers of service programs. I wouldn't, um, it's not going to be a negative interaction. So next slide, Rebecca. As Rebecca mentioned earlier, develop a strategy and agenda. I would send emails to them to let them know you're going to be there that day and that you'd like to meet. A lot of times they won't know their schedule for the day we're going to be there between 11 and 1 until the night before. So a lot of times they'll say, hey, shoot me another email back that night, and I'll tell you if I have a caucus meeting or what time might be good for you to call me out. Or heck, I'm going to be grabbing lunch down there at noon. I'll just swing by and find you. And that can work too. So just email them. Each legislator has a clerk, and they usually are very good at making notes on who's there that day, what constituents are there, and then making sure that they find a way to connect with you while they're there. And sometimes it doesn't work out because there's a big bill later that afternoon, and they're going to be stuck in caucus. And a lot of times they might send the clerk down to get some information, see if they can do a call later, all of those things. But they usually want to talk to you. So don't, it's not confrontational. But come in there, use that toolkit, find that information, contact them in advance, and then, making sure you're combining, your program's data, but also those personal stories, of the impact that you guys are having or you are having personally, or what this means to you or in your work, or all of those things. Those are great ways to connect. And you'll find out a lot of cool stuff. A lot of our legislators either had a child or a spouse or a wife or a husband or we've had several that have been AmeriCorps members or worked with a mentoring program in the past, or had a parent in RSVP, all of these things that, they're Iowans. We're in a lot of communities. A lot of them will have a point of contact already. So, develop that plan and go from there. Again, afterwards, next slide, Rebecca. Yeah, just make sure you fill out that after action report. Very simple. And come on the table. And also you can refer us to, if you have back to need some more information or wants to know where something is and in their area, we're there to help. So and then we'll also send that thing out survey as well afterwards. Again, use this as a first step. This is an ongoing process. Invite them to do a site visit to your programs. Invite them, a lot of times talk to your program director. Maybe is an opportunity we can invite them to do a swearing in or come do something with your program for a more formal site visit. Those are great ways to do and ask. Is there's some other engage them in a day of service project or so come with that idea. Don't look at this as this is it. This is something that we want to continue to engage legislators and stakeholders and leaders in our work throughout the year. So this is the first step in a hopefully an ongoing process. Right, Rebecca, you want to go over the highlights real quick?
Yes, thank you. So this is going to be on the handout that we have for you to give to your legislators. You can also email it to them in your initial contact. But these are just some high-level data from the past year of our programming. There's categories for national service, there's a category for community volunteerism, and a category for mentoring, since those are the main groups. So please pick the most relevant column for you and your connection to Volunteer Iowa. And just though these are statewide data points, this is all of our programs. We're telling the story of all of our programs. It's you that are telling the story of your program and how it connects to their work. So feel free to supplement this with data from your own program, how many site builds you had, how many volunteers you recruited through your organization, how many AmeriCorps members are serving with you. Other really more bringing some life to these data points through your own work is a good way to use this. And then I just wanted to go over some previous participant testimonies from the last few years. A lot of people is their first time engaging with their legislators is through this event. And so it's just really nice to see that, they felt empowered. They really were able to talk about the work they do. They felt really engaged and they had a good experience. As Adam said, they're just people, they want to hear from you. They want to hear about your work. I'm adding my legislators team to my organization's newsletters. We're inviting them to our future tree planting events, things that are really moving that conversation forward and building that relationship. We love to see that too. And then in the top comment, this is something we got last year. I thought it was really interesting. Is that, and I think we go over the language that you can and can't use and that you should think about using in terms of lobbying versus educating, but also having that on-site support, being able to walk through your elevator pitch with somebody on site, having that that time to practice in person is really helpful for people. And I think that was that's something that's feedback that we've been using that we're able to use to make our event better and better each year. So we really appreciate your feedback. Please take the time to give it or to fill out that after action survey, because we really do look at it and use it for the following years. And now back to Adam. He's going to go over the priorities for this year that have been established by the Commission and the State Service Plan. And then we'll end with any questions.
I'm going to be brief. Rebecca mentioned, the overall statewide impact. We'll have a one pager with that on one side and then these on the other, just a good leave behind. These are just things that are commission priorities as a whole. So this is, they might see some of these things and say, hey, have some follow-up and figure out how they can help. So I'll just briefly go over it. But in general, the commission monitors kind of all bills in the legislature. to see how they could fit or could, you know, a new barrier or things like that. And just to see if, you know, and we have a list of kind of things that we'll track just to see if it could affect or if it could impact our work moving forward. And, you know, there's a handful of bills right now that are moving through and they might follow up and be working on that bill and say, hey, and have a question. And, you know, that's a great way to pull someone in or if you know the answer, go ahead and talk to them about your experience and how that, you know, how that worked. And if they have questions for you, that's not lobbying if they're asking you questions. Don't tell them how to vote, but it's all right to answer the questions on how a particular piece of legislation might affect them, might affect you. So AmeriCorps, these are just real briefly, you know, again, these are going to be on that back page of their AmeriCorps seniors. We have, you know, we want to continue to support those. We fund RCP programs across the state. Has a great impact and touching 2/3 of the counties in Iowa. AmeriCorps Iowa, next up, AmeriCorps State. You know, just in general, this has been on there for a little bit. We living allowance is this the education word's not tax, but we would like to see in general AmeriCorps members don't have to pay that pay any but they're pay the state to serve the state. That's kind of the idea, and legislators generally agree. So just trying to keep that on their radar, and when they see how that could be fixed or how that could be worked, those are issues that are important to the commission. So again, I'm not asking you to talk about this, but it's going to be behind. Just know it's on that piece of paper. And again, we're not calling them legislative priorities, we're calling them commission priorities. This is something the commission identified, and it's identified as those. So and then we also have overall support for some of our state legislative programs. Mentoring, again, there's been set aside funding over the years for mentoring grants. And we just hope to continue that generally. And then in general priorities, we, you know, yeah, support the commission and the volunteer Iowa and the work we do and continuing those and, you know, not doing that can impact programs and our ability to serve programs. So, again, that's just, that's on the sheet, and commissioners can talk more about those things as well. But as programs, those are just raising that flag, and your program might have additional priorities that as a program director you might be able to talk about it. So that is all we have for today. So thank you, and I think we got you right on time. If you have any questions, we can answer them still. If not, you can always email us. Seeing no questions, well, you guys have a great rest of your day.